What's up, guys? This is James with some analysis on a ranked 5s match that I played with the UCLA team that we just scrimmed. And they were down a jungler, so I'm playing jungle Zach this game. I'm not that good at Zach. I don't have many games on him, so still have quite a bit to learn about the champion. This game I'm running health quints flat, armor seals, mixed scaling and flat MR blues, and some just AD reds. I think reds don't really matter that much. You can run whatever you want. So level 1, our Zed's AFK. I'm not on voice chat with them, so I'm not that optimistic about this game. And we can't really do anything level 1 because Zed's AFK and we do not want to face check Tarek. So pretty passive play from both sides. Their team also wants to help their jungle Rammus start. Top lane will be having Rumble versus Jarvan. Mid lane will be Zed versus Eve. And then Rammus will be the jungler. And then Vayne and Janna will go against Tarek, Ezreal bottom. So passive start. I'm starting at blue buff. Our team is angrily pinging Zed because he's missing in action. So blue side, I don't think blue side chooses to do golems. Janna wards here, which is a pretty good ward. The likelihood of Rammus invading red is not that high, but it's still a very safe ward regardless. In pre-made, you kind of want more than one ward drop down level 1. You probably want a ward here, especially against jungle Rammus, because Rammus ganks are really potent, and there's actually not much a Zed can do to avoid Rammus ganks, because he'll just blink and Rammus will still catch up to him. So Janna wards this with a 60-second ward. I don't really agree with this with this decision because we know that Rammus started their blue because Eve came out of red, and if Rammus started red, he would be ganking through here. And if he chose to gank through here, this ward would have spotted him too. So this is sort of a waste of a 60-second ward. So bot lane we have Janna versus Tarek. Tarek's a really good laning support. He has a nice armor aura plus sustain. So this might actually be difficult for Vayne. Although she started Doran's Blade and she has some sort of sustain, it won't be enough if she gets stunned and forced to take a lot of damage, because she'll actually have trouble lifestealing it back. Top lane, I go for a gank on Jarvan. I know that this gank's not really gonna work, but Jarvan has a strong level 2 burst, and I was hoping he would go in for Rumble. But I go in instead, and I don't really accomplish much besides making him burn 1 or 2 health potions. And I feel pretty sad, so I go back into the jungle and farm. Rammus is at his rates. If this were warded right now, we would know exactly where he is and which possible direction he would be going. Because if he walks through here, he'd be trying to gank mid. If he walks through here, he might be ganking top or bottom, and bot's warded. So if they don't see him bottom soon, he'll be ganking top. So having a ward here is really, really important against junglers like Rammus. Mid lane, Zed does fairly well against Eve. Eve's somewhat annoying to lane against, as you can see here, but the thing about Zed is that he's a very safe pick, and he shoves ridiculously hard. He just happens to be a little fragile against Rammus. So the enemy team actually doesn't have any wards, and I'm going to try to gank Eve here. Simultaneously, Rammus is going to gank top. I use E, but I realize that Zed's W isn't within range, so I decide not to go. And I immediately notice that Rammus is ganking top. Dancing here flashes a bit late, takes a bunch of health. He should have flashed earlier because he was going to flash anyway. And Rammus decides to leave. I know that I can't fight this because Dancing's really low, and Rammus wants to come around for round 2. So let's see if Dancing falls for it. So when this happens, your bottom lane should be playing more aggressive because they know that the jungler is off the map and Eve is middle. As in he's not around bottom lane. So Dancing's playing pretty safe, which is good. He doesn't have a ward and he doesn't have flash, so it's actually pretty decent for him to not extend here. Jarvan wants to go back, but he noticed that his lane isn't pushed all the way. Meanwhile, at middle, Zed all-in's Eve, but Rammus shows up. I'm doing raids, but my E is down, so I can't make it. And then Zed ultimately ends up feeding a very close first blood to Eve. That really sucks for Zed, but he did start with a ward, so No excuses. When playing against Rammus, always ward. Arguably though, he was in too deep, so he couldn't have gone out anyway. And his best play was just to try to kill Eve as fast as possible, but unluckily he didn't succeed. So Rumble's freezing top. This is good because Rumble is going to get some farm. The issue is Jarvan's bot, and Rumble needs to buy soon, so he needs to push out just a little bit. Bottom lane is just farming. Ezreal is actually down CS compared to Vayne, which is pretty cool by their bot lane. Yeah, so at this point, I'm just looking to farm. I'm pretty low. I'm going back for my first buy really soon. And I haven't really done much this game, which is not good, because Rammus has gone to gank middle, and he's also pressured top, while I haven't blown any summoners at all by myself. So both junglers are going for their first buy. I pick up Boots and Spirit Stone. The thing about Spirit Stone is that it's a pretty good farming item, but it leaves you actually really weak against direct duels, which is why a lot of tournament junglers recently, like Nintendo, I think, and like some Korean junglers, they've been going more HP items like Doran's Blade or Ruby Crystal on their buys so that they can duel other people. Spirit Stone doesn't really do anything when you're ganking or dueling other junglers. I think one of the things that I failed to do this game was counter jungle Rammus. Zac is very mobile. He's also a decent counter jungler, even though his clear speed isn't like godly like Shyvana's. I see Rammus here. Rammus sees me. He goes for a lane gank top, which is very smart of him. And I do something that pretty much only Zac and Nocturne can do, and I just stand over here and I'm waiting for Eve to walk across to this line of vision so I can E her. See her walking towards us, I E onto her, pop Q, Zed hits 6, he goes in, and I flash him to add an extra W so that Zed's death mark would proc and get the kill. I don't know if we would have gotten the kill if I didn't flash, but I didn't really have the time to do the numbers in my head. And I go straight to do blue buff. Rammus shows up to cover middle after he decides not to lane game top. So I finally leave my mark on the early game. I get a kill on Eve, which is important. The issue is when playing against Eve, you need to buy pink wards. Like Zed had a really good pink ward here that sort of saw where Eve was going. This is a very smart idea. So whenever you play against Eve, you want that ward. The only issue is this ward and the ward that could potentially be here can't see Eve. So Eve pretty much has impunity to gank bottom lane, and it's Zed's job to have this ward here and keep mid shoved at all times so that she doesn't get ganks for free. Right here, Eve's taking blue. I'm actually taking his red. If I were any higher, I would have called for dragon because there's a slight timing window at 8 minutes when their jungler is helping their mid get blue. So right here, I see that Vayne gets all in by Jarvan. I didn't notice that, sorry. But Jarvan ends up TPing bottom behind. I go in here, but I realize that it's not a good fight because I can't kill any of them as Zac, and I just use ult to escape in case I was gonna die. Zed finds Jarvan. Jarvan's AFK, but we can't really get the kill. I try to go in, and we decide to go on Taric instead. Taric's really tanky, but the Ignite ends up finishing him off, which is a really good play. Meanwhile at top, Eve ganks Rumble, and Rumble goes down. This may or may not be because of this ward expiring, so unfortunate turn of events for top. Eve just has this ridiculous amount of pressure that just forces you to buy pink wards, and our team is not buying pink wards. So we're basically letting her get more or less free kills. So I guess our support needs to buy pink wards. She buys Ruby Crystal, pink wards, green ward, it's really good. But luckily the enemy team isn't really in position to do dragon or take a tower, so we sort of get off easy on those set of picks. Yeah, Zed dueling Eve in the mid. I'm trying to gank Eve once again because I want to shut her down really bad. I come in for a gank on Eve, but I believe this time we don't have enough damage. So right here Rammus shows up, he gets ignited. I am actually pretty scared for my life, so I start running back. I Q Rammus. Rammus ends up taunting me with ultimate, but I get to walk out because Eve doesn't have enough to kill me. The issue here is that we don't have health and we need to go back soon. I make the stupid play and I choose to farm rates instead when I should be going back to defend mid. But I'm basically going to let mid tower take a lot of damage because I farm rates and I should have healed instead. So top lane, Jarvan misses an embarrassing QE combo. That could have been the death of Rumble right there. It's Jarvan as Brutalizer and Hex Drinker. He's pretty painful. No boots. Put all of his money inside consumables and damage. So mid lane, Rammus takes down the tower. And I try to go for Rammus, but the problem is I land behind him instead of on him. So we can't really stop anything that he does. So Rammus gets to go away. I try to ping Dragon because I know that Eve is really, really low. And because of the fact that mid tower has a lot of damage, so Zed and I could be pushing mid, but I don't know if we would get the tower. So I ping Dragon. Unfortunately, because we're not on voice chat, our team's not on the same page. We don't know that Dragon's not warded, so if we would have done it, it would have been the right call. But I realized that Zed isn't responding, so I just give up because I don't have enough health to finish Dragon. Pretty pointless play by me, especially because I wasn't on voice chat and Zed wasn't aware. I believe at the time that we typed in chat, Zed wanted to push mid, but I disagreed with him because mid had a lot of HP. And we probably wouldn't be able to take the objective while these two are healing. So bottom lane has been serene so far. Vayne's doing really well against Ezreal. Last hitting well. She's basically 1v2ing the lane because Janna is somewhat 1v2able as a support. Meanwhile, I'm doing my red buff. Rammus really hasn't had access to his red buff comfortably. I've taken one of his reds. I'm taking my own red right here. Dancing gets caught. He's getting chunked pretty hard by those auto attacks. Eve shows up top, finishes him off. Yeah, Dancing not having enough armor. Jarvan's passive armor shred is really good, so just having cloth armor against a Brutalizer is just not enough. It's very hard for Rumble to itemize in this case. You should probably go, I don't know, Seeker's Arm Guard. Probably makes sense. Eve catches Zed right here. It's really close. Zed manages to get out. I come reinforced just in case Rammus is coming. I notice that Rammus is going up mid. He wants to snipe Zed, but he gives up. I'm just going to keep farming. Like I said, like our team's being shut down pretty hard by Eve. In hindsight, what I should be doing is I should be camping the side lanes, like maybe buying 1 or 2 pink wards for the team, and just being there when she shows up. The issue is like Zac doesn't have a lot of burst damage, so if Eve catches our team with their pants down, I can't really help them. So more farming. The sword here is really good. Covers some of Rammus's gank paths, but Rammus's lane ganks are pretty good. He hasn't been lane ganking that much this game, but regardless, this is why Rammus is dumb. It's pretty hard to play against, and if I played this game better, I would have counter jungled him a lot more just to put him weaker, because while he's getting all of these assists and all of these kills, he's becoming tankier, and you don't want that to happen, especially because you have a Vayne, and Vayne doesn't want to be dealing with Rammus all the time. So Zed comes here for a pincer move. For some reason he stops at this brush. In this case, you wouldn't stop because if it were warded, you would have to go immediately. We get stun on Taric. Are coming for an ult. I see a TP by Jarvan. I flash out immediately because I don't want to die. And they can't really engage on us. I want to turn, but I decide not to because I don't want to go down immediately. Even though we have the numbers advantage. So mid lane Zed puts this pink ward back. Really good pink ward. We don't know where Eve is. Eve's pretty much off the map right now. She's actually taking her blue buff. But I don't know what my team is saying because I'm not on voice chat. We find Rammus. He ults. We go on him. Jarvan ults Rumble. Rumble used a lot of cooldowns and became silent, so Jarvan kills him for free. I come in. I miss my E. I'm just here to support my team with my body. I want to get this Jarvan, but I realize that he's just going to EQ out of there. So we try to push mid instead. We catch Ezreal, but he arcane shifts out. Pretty elusive. We want to push mid. Eve ults us. Jarvan comes back. This is actually a huge misplay by us. But Ingator goes in for Flash Janna ult. It ultimately ends up getting us nothing. One of the problems was, let's roll this back. So Eve comes in. Here we go, we catch Ezreal. Jarvan's actually coming back around. So the issue is when you're grouping as 5, your support needs to ward as your team is moving, because she might not get that chance again, and this ends up costing us Jarvan from behind, and then it costs us 2 players due to a misplay and also having no wards. So Ingator really needs to ward around the edges right there. He's actually not carrying any wards, so it's not good. While Taric already has a Sightstone, so John is pretty behind. He buys boots and Sightstone, which is good, but we need a little bit of more ward coverage than that. So, like, I should be buying more wards, and I should be helping my mid laner ward because he's being ganked by Rammus. Our misplay costs us not only the chance to take mid tower, but also a dragon. So I just watch them take dragon and I time it. Not much we can do besides let it go. So just farming. Bot tower is in danger. Vayne goes. The issue is this ward actually expires before it gets to see Rammus. Rammus is chilling at our blue, but he has other thoughts in mind. Really unlucky that this ward expires. Engator really needs to ward this because their mid and their jungler are off the map, and our mid tower is gone. So this actually opens up this whole side of the map over here. Ezreal feigns weakness. Vayne actually finishes off Ezreal, I believe, but at what cost? They're both running out. Janna's gonna get caught by Rammus here, but I ping mid because we can't really save Janna, and Vayne's gonna be able to get out. Zed wards, and we try to take this mid tower fast. We should have enough time to take it. Rumble's coming in. We see that Rammus is open for a pick because he doesn't have mana. So Rumble lands a good ultimate, and we end up getting a kill on Rammus. So right here, I kind of have a little bit of difficulty deciding where to go, but we decide as a team to just push mid. So another one of my mistakes here is that I used E on Zac, but what ended up happening was I didn't E for the full distance, even though it was charged up. So I actually landed behind Eve after she flashed. If I landed like on top of Eve for the maximum distance, I would have been able to Q her and maybe land a kill on her. So yeah, mechanics cost me a pretty good kill on Eve. That should have been a good kill. So meanwhile, I just end up taking golems. Someone's messaging me on Google Chat. And I should end up buying soon. In terms of items, I feel like my itemization's kind of weak this game. This item's pretty good, Spirit of the Ancient Golem. Zac is decent at CDR. I should have gotten Aegis earlier because I knew Janna was poor, and we were playing against some pretty fed people. So Aegis and Locket would have both been decent choices, but probably Aegis would have been better. So we spot Jarvan at red, sorry. Right here, Eve tries to go on Zac. I try to go on Eve, but our team's not here. We're not on the same page. Zed and I actually lack damage to fight a 2v2 against Jarvan and Eve. We might be able to kill one, but probably not finish off the other. Bottom lane, Vayne gets ganked by 3 people. It's a really unfortunate turn of events. And Janna shows up. Yeah, so when your AD is farming, you really need a ward for your AD, especially because you don't have your mid tower. So there should have been a ward here at least. I don't know if he got ganked through here, but she face checks Eve, uses ult, gets owned by Rammus. Rammus taunts Zed. Really good play by Rammus because Janna was already dead from Eve. And they get 2 kills because of a misplay and lack of vision. So like having a green ward here against Eve doesn't really do that much. Sure, it spots blue, but you really need those pink wards. Tons and tons and tons of pink wards. So I see the shenanigans happening bottom. I'm pushing mid, but Zac doesn't really push too fast, so I don't really accomplish anything. And also, we've already taken both of their mid towers, so maybe going top to help Rumble would have been the better play, or counter jungling. So right here, I finish off the wraiths, but the big wraith isn't there. I'm checking red right here, what I do is I Q this side and run over here so that red takes a bit of time to walk this way. So I'm stealing Rammus's red. Someone's pinging that they're going towards red. Rammus shows up, but he actually decides to go do his golems. When you're a jungler and both of your buffs are up, and you have a choice between doing golems and your buff, and you have a reasonable amount of HP, you should always check your buff, because I just walked away from his buff for free. Walked away with his buff for free. So, pretty happy about that. Rammus or Ezreal without red is good. And I see Jarvan chilling over here, can't do much about him. He wants to buy. Jarvan at this point is getting pretty stacked. He's probably going to get Bork, decent amount of magic resist and armor pen. So this guy hurts a lot. Eve also hurts. She has Death Cap plus Haunting Guise and Sork Shoes. A lot of penetration. She deals pretty much true damage to us without Aegis. So having that Bulwark would have been really good this game against a really fed Eve, because we don't want to be suffering true damage from a Death Cap like any point in the game. So down here, Vayne is farming. Blue team might be looking to group. Top lane, Jarvan returns top. Rumble's backing, but he actually gets stopped by Jarvan. Jarvan misses his E, but Rumble still decides to not go through with the back. He was right about to go back. Mid lane, Eve catches Zed. I'm right here. I wanted to turn, but it probably wouldn't have been a good play because Rammus would have been over here. So at this point of the game, when they're pretty fed and it's 20 minutes, we need a ward on Baron at all times. Right now, Engator is just walking around. He's not doing very much, but he goes to Dragon. He wants to ward Dragon, or well, he wants to ping Dragon, but he's totally out of position. He gets stunned. Someone's gonna go down here. I come in with the Zac ultimate. Rumble has a pretty nice ultimate. Hits Taric, zones Eve for a while. A little bit of miscommunication here between me and Zed. Zed dives into 3 people while I run backwards, so he gets insta-give. Jarvan TP's in. I try to go in just to stall, but I don't have my ultimate, so I end up going down. And this is an error in my judgment because Rumble just doesn't have enough damage to kill these guys with Janna. So it was like me, Rumble, and Janna. That wasn't a very good play by me because Zed was dead and Vayne was dead also. So True Shot Barrage narrowly misses Rumble, wouldn't have killed him anyway. We give up a pretty bad fight to blue team and we end up giving Dragon too. So we're actually 6k gold down. This is actually a pretty difficult deficit to come back in pre-made. And so far, I guess, to conclude the first half of the game, like, the main issue that we suffered this game was lack of vision against Eve, and also lack of vision when we are grouped. Eve gets to flank us all the time with Rammus, and they're basically getting angles on us that they shouldn't be getting. And also, like, I haven't had as much jungle presence as I would have liked this game. I mean, I've been involved in 6 of our 8 kills, but I probably could have done a little more by counter jungling Rammus and making better calls at Dragon. So they didn't really play well this game in terms of Zac. Zed gets caught here. This Rammus actually has quite a lot of damage, but will Zed be able to get out? I'm coming here to reinforce. I noticed that Rammus is powerballing in, so I jump on top of him to stop the powerball. Good thing Eve isn't around, or else we would have been royally owned. Eve's actually top. I think the enemy team is pinging for a push. Blue ping's going down. I'm coming top to gank Eve, but I don't see Jarvan behind me. I see him a bit too late. I jump on Eve just to walk out, but this isn't a very good idea, so just walk away with my ultimate. I'm not really good at using my ultimate because I'm using it at the wrong time, and I won't have it for this following engagement. Eve gets Rumble ulted. Sort of a good Rumble ult. Taric's gonna go down. Jarvan EQs to safety. Janna finds him. Ping goes down on Jarvan. She can't really slow him for too long though. I'm trying to jump around for a flank, but I realize that Janna and I are alone, so there's no real way I can kill Jarvan. Rammus is trying to push mid tower with his ultimate, But he's really tanky at this point, so it's actually really hard for us to deal with him or kill him at all. I'm trying to loop around for another Powerball interrupt, but I'm too late. So right now we see Ezreal. Like a huge weakness of our game is like we don't have any wards in this area. Like we all want to gank this juicy Ezreal, but that means giving up Baron. So Ezreal goes down. We end up getting a kill on him. Luckily though, Rammus is farming their golems, and Eve is actually wanting to buy her next humongous item mid. So we don't lose anything for that. Ideally, if we had vision here, we would have pushed bottom because, or vision of their wraiths, we would probably have pushed bottom. This ward here doesn't see that much, but we definitely need a ward on Baron. Right here, team's telling Vayne to actually face check Baron, which is extremely dangerous. So luckily she doesn't die. So at this point, our only hope of coming back, well, one of our hopes of coming back is to either pick off Eve with pink ward, and also, oh my god, Eve gets to jump on Vayne. Vayne's gonna go down, True Shot Barrage misses. So down here at bottom, I actually get picked off by Jarvan and Rammus. I try to E out to safety, but it's not good enough. So right now our team's just farming, it's just farming jungle. I don't think this is the best idea because Eve showed herself top and their two gankers, Rammus and Jarvan, showed themselves bottom. So they actually had some time to push mid or something like that. Janna burns ult to get away from Eve. In this case, when you're up against a very fed team of good gankers like Rammus and Eve, you need someone to come with you as you go to ward. So having someone go with you ensures that your support doesn't die and that you don't lose Baron because your support dies. So not a lot of teamwork at the moment, unfortunately. This is basically turning into solo queue for us because we've just been farming our jungle and trying to stall out the game as long as we can. Another thing I like to point out is that we don't have oracles, so their Taric pretty much has vision supremacy just because of Evelyn and because he has wards potentially deep in our jungle. So Eve gets to jump on Zed, like this just becomes like a stupid cascade of events where Eve gets picks on us because we're not grouped and also because we don't know where the enemy wards are. So Vayne gets to jump on Taric here. I don't go in because I think it's too good to be true, and it actually is too good to be true because Vayne gets jumped immediately by J4. I try to peel for Vayne, but Jarvan gets Demacia off and Vayne goes down. I jump out just to save myself. Rumble flashes out. Ezreal gets to jump on me. He wants to kill me really badly. I try to juke him, but I ultimately end up going down on my passive. Yeah, so pretty sloppy. I think I end up regenerating here, but I'm actually alt tabbed, so I actually end up dying, which is really fail by me. Yeah, mid inhib is gonna go down, and you know, they're just more fed at this point because Eve can 1v1 any of our carries and just kill them instantly, and also our team doesn't have any vision, so they can basically walk around our jungle for free, and we can't really kill the Eve because the Eve is actually coming at us from very interesting oblique angles and just killing us instead. So like none of us have actually bought oracles. We really need an oracles right now, and some pink wards. Also, I'm currently working on my Aegis. This is also failed communication because Janna is also working on the Aegis. Yeah, so I'm gonna do wraiths. I think Janna is gonna take these wraiths from me. That's kind of nope. Yep. So Janna trolls me and takes my wraiths while she should be warding. Oh well. So blue team takes dragon, solidifying their gold lead, pretty much doubling it since I last talked about it to 10k. And right here, Rumble comes around. The enemy team is pretty much gonna get free Baron because we don't really we can't really fight them straight up. We just have to turtle. It's very hard to turtle against J4 and Rammus because Rammus pretty much tanks with impunity. He has Thornmail, very hard for Vayne to deal with. I come in because I noticed that Eve's top. This is our best chance to take a fight. Rumble lands a nice ult. It only hates J4 though for a little bit of damage. He's not that fed this game. Vayne goes on Ezreal. I land on Ezreal. Ezreal goes down. Rammus is gonna go down even though he has Thornmail. So one of the issues here is when you're fighting against Eve and your support has a pink, your support needs to drop the pink ward down just to know where she's coming from. Like, we knew that she was last top lane, so she could be coming down this way or this way, but in this case she's actually coming around behind us. So dropping a pink ward down on your team is actually a really good idea, and you'll see the result of not doing so because she gets to come around back here. Our carries are low, Vayne is low, Zed is low. She's really looking for it. She's communicating with her team, gets to initiate. Jarvan goes in, we all get dunked because we get jumped on by Eve.
Blue team triple kill.
Sick triple kill by Eve. Not going too well for us, and I think this pretty much costs us the game because yeah, lack of vision, readiness for Eve. Like, Eve is just hard to play against. You actually need to practice. So this Eve was really good this game. She picked us off a lot, and it just completely dismantled our entire strategy. So we end up losing because they get Baron and they're extremely fed, and there's not much more for me to say. Thanks for watching, and I'll post more videos soon of other commentaries / matches that I've been playing or just watching other people play. So yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more.